Welcome to a deep dive, into one of the most, infamous figures in criminal history, Harvey Dent, better known as Two-Face.
Yeah.
We've got a ton of material to dig into.
Absolutely.
We've got psychiatric evaluations. We have witness testimonies, official records.
Mm-hmm.
We even have some of his recent writing. And we're really trying to, trace that twisted path, that led from this respected district attorney to this infamous villain of Gotham.
Yeah, it really is a story that I think goes beyond just, the headlines and the sensationalism.
Right.
We're really going to try to understand the man behind the mask here, the forces that shaped him.
Okay.
And really what his case can tell us about the nature of good and evil.
So let's start with Harvey Dent, before the scars before the coin.
Okay.
We have these yearly therapy recordings, and it's almost unsettling how normal it seems at first.
Yeah, it's really jarring, because here's this man battling his inner demons, grappling with, anger management issues. He even traces it back to his childhood.
Oh, wow.
The trauma of his father's abuse.
Right.
But, he's actively seeking help. He's trying to break that cycle.
There's even a mention of him worrying about how this anger might affect his campaign for mayor.
Oh, really?
It's almost like he had a premonition of what was to come.
Interesting.
But then enter Professor Hugo Strange
Yes.
and this experimental treatment.
This is where the story takes a very dark turn.
Right.
Strange believed that he could essentially separate the good and evil aspects of the mind.
Okay.
Almost like a surgical procedure for the soul.
Oh, wow.
A very noble goal, perhaps.
Right.
But the execution was disastrous.
Instead of achieving balance, it fractured his psyche.
Right.
Gave rise to this split personality we know as Two-Face.
Exactly.
And the physical disfigurement. This half-scarred visage.
Yeah.
Like this grotesque mirror of his shattered mind.
Absolutely. And the formula, it wasn't just psychological, it actually had physiological impacts as well.
Really?
Case files actually detail, superhuman strength.
Wow.
Heightened intelligence.
Okay.
But most disturbingly,
Yeah.
this perfect intellectual split between good and evil.
Right.
So this isn't just random madness we're dealing with. There's a calculated and really chilling logic at play.
Right. And then there's this horrific camcorder footage.
Oh, yeah.
A woman stalked and murdered at 22 Janus Lane.
Right.
Graphic, brutal. And even in all this chaos, you see this obsession with duality.
Right.
The address itself, the way the crime is staged, all points to Two-Face's own twisted sense of order.
It's like he's trying to impose his worldview on Gotham at a time when it's already on the edge of chaos.
Absolutely. He's trying to impose his own brand of justice.
And remember, initially, nobody even knew it was Dent.
Right.
The formula had altered his appearance so much that witnesses couldn't even identify him. He was like a phantom, this terrifying enigma.
Preying on Gotham's fears.
Yeah.
Even Batman, with all his resources and detective skills, struggled to grasp this new threat.
Yeah, it's ironic. There's even evidence that Batman himself was intrigued by Strange's formula.
Wait, are you saying?
He was analyzing it,
Oh, yeah?
maybe even considering its benefits.
So Batman was considering using this.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time he pushed the boundaries in his pursuit of justice.
Right.
But ultimately, even Batman recognized the inherent danger.
Yeah.
The risk of unleashing something uncontrollable. Unlike Two-Face, who seemed to revel in the chaos.
Right.
The randomness of the coin toss deciding the fate of his victims.
So this was like a complete surrender to the darkness.
Yeah.
A rejection of everything he stood for as district attorney.
Exactly. And it's chilling when you go back and listen to those early therapy tapes.
Right.
You can almost hear that moment, when Dent loses control?
Yeah.
When Two-Face emerges.
It's haunting.
It really is.
It's like it speaks to the fragility of the human psyche.
Absolutely.
This thin line between order and chaos, sanity and madness. And for Gotham, the 1990s became the decade defined by that chaos.
Right.
With Two-Face at the center of it all.
Yeah.
Gotham's descent into fear and a villain born from the ashes of hope.
Oh, wow.
But the story doesn't end there.
It doesn't.
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Fast forward to the 2020s.
Right.
And we see a shift, a reframing of Two-Face's narrative.
He's still in Arkham, of course.
Right.
But his presence is felt beyond those walls.
Okay.
He becomes more than just a criminal. He becomes like this cultural phenomenon, a subject of fascination.
Okay.
So sympathy.
Hold on. Yeah. Sympathy for the guy who terrorized a city?
Right.
What changed? It's hard to imagine anyone feeling sympathy for Two-Face. He was a menace. Mm-hmm. He was a symbol of Gotham's darkest days. Yeah. But you mentioned he wrote a book.
He did.
What was that about?
It's called Too Many. Split down the middle.
Okay.
And it became a surprising bestseller.
Wow.
In it, Two-Face chronicles his life. Okay. His struggles. His descent into madness.
So was he trying to justify his actions?
You know, it wasn't about justification.
Okay.
It was more of an exploration of his duality, his internal struggle.
Did he express remorse for what he'd done?
Well, there's a sense of regret in there.
Okay.
A longing for the life that he lost.
Yeah.
But there's also this chilling awareness of the monster he's become.
So this book really sparked a new conversation about Two-Face.
It really did.
And that's where this idea of him as a victim comes in.
Exactly.
Because of Strange's experiment.
You combine the book with, a growing awareness of the potential for medical malpractice, and it really led to people reevaluating Two-Face's case.
So instead of criminal mastermind,
right,
he's now a tragic figure.
Well, it's not that simple. His crimes were horrific.
Of course.
And there's no erasing the pain he inflicted on Gotham.
Yeah.
But the context is crucial.
Okay.
If his transformation was the result of this flawed experiment, can he truly be held accountable in the same way as someone who chose that path?
That's a really good question.
It challenges our legal system, our ethical framework.
So how did Two-Face react to all this?
Well, that's where things get even more complicated. Yeah. While the public was debating his culpability, Two-Face remained in Arkham seemingly unchanged.
Right.
But then a few years ago, something remarkable happened.
You mentioned a third personality.
Yeah.
How does that even work?
So he started exhibiting signs of this new persona that called itself the Judge. Yeah. Imagine this hyper-rational, justice-obsessed entity.
So it's not just good versus evil anymore.
No.
Now there's a referee.
Now there's someone trying to control both Harvey Dent and Two-Face.
How does that even work?
Well, the details are still being studied, but it seems like the Judge emerged as a coping mechanism. A way for Dent's fractured psyche to seek some semblance of order.
So does that mean he's getting better?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is this genuine rehabilitation, or is this just another layer of delusion?
Right.
And if the Judge can emerge years after the initial trauma, what does that say about the potential for change?
Wow.
Even in the most extreme cases.
So how does all this connect to the Two-Face of the 90s?
Well, it's fascinating to see how these two eras reflect these different aspects of Two-Face.
Okay.
In the 90s, he was this raw, unbridled force of chaos, a manifestation of Gotham's descent into fear.
Right.
But in the 2020s, he's become something much more nuanced.
Okay.
He's a figure that makes us question our assumptions about justice, about rehabilitation, and really the nature of good and evil.
So we've gone from Two-Face, the symbol of Gotham's dark days, to this almost philosophical figure,
right,
prompting us to re-examine everything we thought we knew.
It's really a testament to the power of his story.
It is.
It's this ability to resonate with our deepest fears and anxieties, but also our hopes for understanding, for redemption, for a glimmer of light in the face of darkness.
It really makes you wonder what happens next for Two-Face.
It does.
What's the next chapter?
Yeah, is he destined to remain a prisoner of his own fractured mind?
Right.
A cautionary tale for generations to come.
Yeah.
Or can the emergence of this Judge persona pave the way for genuine rehabilitation? A chance at a life beyond the shadows of his past?
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
And it feels like we've only scratched the surface.
I think so.
What started as this exploration of his transformation into Gotham's most infamous villain has become this much broader discussion about identity, about justice, and the ethical boundaries of science.
It really makes you think.
It does. So we've gone from Two-Face as this symbol of Gotham's darkest days to this almost philosophical figure, prompting us to re-examine everything we thought we knew.
Right.
What I don't get is how these two versions of Two-Face can exist at the same time. It's like a complete 180.
Yeah, and that's really the heart of it.
Right.
What does it mean for us to reconsider Two-Face through this modern lens.
Especially with this rise of this new judge persona.
Exactly.
Is this a true evolution or just another twist in his twisted path?
Yeah.
That's what I'm struggling with. Mm-hmm. On the one hand, you have the horrific acts of the 90s,
right,
the undeniable terror he inflicted. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, there's this growing movement that wants to see him as a victim of medical malpractice.
Right.
Can we really reconcile these two sides of Two-Face?
Well, it's a complex issue with no easy answers, but think about it.
Yeah.
Two-Face's transformation wasn't just physical or mental, it was also societal.
How so?
Well, the way we view mental illness,
the
ethics of medical intervention, our understanding of criminal responsibility,
right.
All of these things have evolved so much over time.
So you're saying Two-Face is holding up a mirror to our own evolving values.
To our own beliefs, precisely.
Okay.
His story forces us to confront some really uncomfortable truths about the limitations of our legal system, the complexities of human nature, and the potential for profound darkness, but also this unexpected redemption.
And the emergence of the judge persona just adds to this enigma.
It really does.
Is this a sign of progress? A step towards healing?
Right.
Or is it just another manifestation of his fractured psyche?
It's a question that baffles experts to this day.
Yeah.
Some see it as a genuine attempt at self-regulation, this desire for order.
Right.
Others see it as this manipulative tactic to control the narrative.
To garner sympathy.
Exactly.
But even if it is legitimate, does that absolve him of his past?
Well, that's the moral and legal dilemma, isn't it?
It is.
Can someone be held accountable for actions committed while under the influence of a medically induced split personality?
Right.
It's completely uncharted territory.
It is.
And it has huge implications for the future of criminal justice.
So Two-Face's story is almost like a cautionary tale.
In a lot of ways.
A warning about the unintended consequences of science.
Of our desire to control the human mind.
Yeah.
But it's also a story of resilience.
Yeah.
You know, this enduring power of the human spirit to adapt.
To seek balance.
To seek balance.
Even in the face of trauma.
Exactly. Whether that balance is sustainable, though.
Yeah.
Whether Two-Face can truly find peace.
Right.
Remains to be seen.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
And I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah, and the conversation's not over.
Right, it's constantly evolving.
It is what started as a simple exploration of his transformation.
Right into Gotham's most infamous villain.
Has become this much broader discussion about identity.
Justice.
Justice, yeah, the ethical boundaries of science.
It's really a testament to the power of his story.
Absolutely.
Its ability to resonate with us.
Our hopes for understanding.
For redemption. For a glimmer of light in the face of all this darkness.
It's quite a story.
So where do we go from here?
That's the question, isn't it?
What happens next for Two-Face?
Right. Is he destined to remain a prisoner of his own mind?
A cautionary tale.
Yeah, or can the judge help him find genuine rehabilitation?
A chance at a life beyond the shadows of his past.
Who knows?
Well, it seems like Two-Face's story is far from over.
It does.
And we'll be watching closely.
Of course, always trying to make sense of it all.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the complex and ever-evolving case of Harvey Dent.
A.K.A. Two-Face.
We'll see you next time.